Hi, my name is Rebecca Matthews. I am the face behind Becca Arts Creations, and I am going to be in the City of Casey's Winter Arts Festival. So I am a fibre artist. I would say that I sort of come from the mixed media camp of coming into fibre art. I use all sorts of different mediums when I'm creating, and that can vary from found objects to beads to silks to whatever sort of that might catch my eye. I'm quite a magpie, so I like to pick up shiny things. Primarily for this exhibit, it will be wool felting, and that's using a dry felting process. So I used a barb needle and I fused the fibres together, and I use wool roving to create the different colours and textures, and then I overlay that with free machine embroidery or little accessories and bits and pieces that I might think enhance or add depth. I can never remember a time where I didn't create. Like, I was that kid who watched Play School and used to look at what they were making, and then I'd go off and I'd make my own thing. And as I grew, it became something that was an opportunity to express how I was feeling or who I was turning into, I suppose, as you grow, through your teens. But I think that it just, as I became a mum, it changed how I sort of looked at that sort of time that I needed to feed myself. And to me, that art practice allows me to fill my own cup and show who I am, separate from all the different hats that I would wear on a normal basis. One of the most wonderful things about needle felting in particular is it's so forgiving. So different from, say, someone who oil paints or woodworks, it's you measure twice, and then do it. But with felting, it is 100% like a very forgiving medium. So, but hand in hand with that is that you can go right up to really, really detailed super realism, but you can also have an extremely dreamlike quality, which is what I love about it. I love that it's tactile and it has like a puffiness to it that is just, everybody just wants to sort of come up and give it a little bit of a pat, and that to me allows me to explore those sorts of concepts that I would be looking at, memories, dreams, and stories that I might create. Often I find that I reflect back on either memories or moments, experiences, and it might be that it can be a quite modern thing, like it might be that I've seen something and it's caught my attention, and it might have been the shape of the flowers or the way the sun was setting or something about it that it took my breath away, and it's sort of like catalogued itself inside my brain. And I also really like that you can, as I said, that I can use my art to explore those stories from the past, which is what I'll be doing in this show. I'm doing the stories from my childhood through the art that I'm sharing. My project for the festival is a story about how particular landscapes and flowers through sort of like work as a transportation device to me. I have very vivid memories that are connected quite closely to either certain individuals in my family, like my nana who passed away a long time ago, or even just my mum and growing up around nature. So the show will encompass large felt pieces, which will be two-dimensional landscapes that will look at a particular time probably around the 90s, and how the landscapes are probably in this area moving towards Frankston were represented. And I will also be doing large three-dimensional felted flowers. And those flowers are directly linked to the people and the memories that I have. So as I said, for example, my nana, it's geraniums. For my cousin, who was my best friend until we basically hit puberty, we were inseparable, it's a fuchsia, you know. So each of them will represent different parts of my history that make up that time. And even now, as I said, as an adult, I would see those particular flowers, and I'm taken back to that moment of seeing them, you know, seeing my nana standing in the sun tending her garden, and, you know, in her she was like the old-fashioned A-line skirt with the tights and the little slip-on shoes, you know. So it's a very particular thought that I have, and a fondness for that time. And I think that, you know, my art allows for others to sort of peek through, and I do believe that there's other people who have relatable memories that are all tied into those sorts of, that period of time, and the sorts of flowers that they might see. I think it's because they can tease out what can be often a very abstract thought or a jumble of memories inside your mind. So you're sort of almost like a funnel. You're funneling this, like, these really broad concepts of, like, I'm elaborating that to you, but you won't see a picture of my nana at the, you know, displayed, for example. But for me, there's like a whole cluster of thoughts and feelings that come with that, and then I'm channeling that down to create something very specific. And I think that is the strength of sculptures and art, is that you can take all those things that are inside of you, and you can express them in a way that's meaningful and often engaging. It's not just like it's an exclusive thing for artists, as in physical artists. You know, you have musicians, you have poets, you have writers. Like, the way that we understand who we are and how we fit and how we all fit together is often through storytelling. So to me, that, you know, that's never changed. It's just the way that we do it has changed over time. Yeah. This entire process for me has been about, you know, harking back and looking back in time. That my favourite winter memory, which is going to seem, I suppose, strange, is that my pa used to own a really large boat, like one that you could sleep on. And in the winter, on days where it was clear and the water would be, you know, like glass, he used to take me out, and I used to climb. There used to be, the boat would be like this, and then there was like a cabin where you could walk underneath, and then there was where the steering wheel was. And on top of that, there used to be the life preserve, you know, like the ring. And as a child, I used to climb inside the ring and sit on top of the boat with my legs crossed and look out, and he would drive the boat around Port Phillip Bay. So for me, the idea of like the crisp air and there's just like the endless possibilities, because you were looking out and then you could see the tiny coastline in the distance. And just all of the sensory elements that came with being in that moment, and completely everything melting away. School, everything that had been going on, anything like that, it was just gone, and you were just so present. So whenever I think of winter and as I said, I know it's not your traditional "we were at the snow" kind of story. To me, it is just such a beautiful moment, and I know it's something that's lost in time. No one would let their kid climb up and do that like today. But the freedom that I felt in that moment was so beautiful and so pure. So yeah.